Welcome back to Save Earth number 2, the update. And it's been a couple weeks, but I think that's just going to be the way it goes. I'll try to do at least 1 or 2 a month, and I think we're going to call it PEACEin It Together because it's a favorite phrase of mine, and I've always wanted a show like that because that's what it's all about. Piecing it together, putting all these different pieces together a little bit at a time, forming a comprehensive puzzle, and then gradually figuring out our best way to go about saving Earth, fixing this place, one of the billions of problems at a time. And while there's billions of problems, there's billions of unbelievably beautiful and amazing things. So we can't forget that because that's our motivation, to preserve all of that and make the entire world filled with that like it once was, like we know it once was, like we know what we're all capable of. And so we got to fix a few things, and there's constantly things going on that are adding to the mess. And people have terrible intentions, money mostly, and God knows what else. But sinister intentions can ruin this place, and they are. So that is one thing, main element that needs to be stopped. Like this, new research shows wildfires have decreased globally while media coverage has spiked 400%. So this researcher ended up looking at satellite photos and coming up with a lot, like throughout time, coming up and discovering that there are a lot of wildfires that always happen throughout time, and they've been happening less since 2001. It's been noticeable, and so I think a lot of people that are pushing this nonsense, absolutely filthy climate change agenda that they're basically causing all the problems for and labeling it climate change and blaming us, that they are the ones that really are just totally wrong in this, and they're the ones pushing everything the wrong way, and nobody believes them. And here it is, they're telling everyone, they got the media telling everyone it's climate change, doing all this stuff, while they hire their flunkies and their criminals to set arson everywhere. And people are being arrested for arson all the time, and people aren't being caught. That's why these spontaneous fires just erupt out of nowhere in satellite images. And in general, they're still lower. So it makes sense that, that's one thing that maybe as the world is getting a little cooler or whatever the opposite is of what they tell us, that there's the evil force needed to compensate for that, for the lack of fires, by making more. How sweet of them. And you never know. It's just these people are just an absolute mess. And there's a professor in California that was arrested, and God knows who he's been teaching and how many students in California, Oregon, Washington that they've been teaching as their fires went ravaging the last several years. Who would have thought that teachers would inevitably become an enemy? But they are. Their influence in the people they hire in public schools and the agendas behind all of that system have just become hogwash. That's why I only teach at private schools or tutor, because they are much better than the public school nonsense. But look, Greece wildfires. Oh, climate change, everyone says. Nope. 79 people arrested. It's so easy to set a fire. Few chemicals and a match. And that's what's happening, not climate change. And then Hawaii is a whole different story. But my mom actually brought this up to me the other day. She was a mask wearer like so many others. And yep, the N95 COVID masks, terrible levels of carcinogens all over the place. They say when you leave it out to air for a while, it's better, and it makes a little less because they probably escape everywhere. But the people that just took it out of the plastic or whatever and put it on their face were getting blasted with cancer-causing and illness-causing and just pollutant chemicals, probably from China. And who knows where else. I am proud to say that I was one of the people who never wore a mask. Never put one of those blue things on my face, those blue face band-aids, and wouldn't even conceive of putting an N95 mask on. And the only time I had to wear a cloth one was when I was taking a real estate test, and it drove me nuts. So asphyxiation is what I felt within like 10 minutes. I don't know how people are still doing it, especially the ones in their car. But then they go to this. Boom. Speaking of asphyxiation, apparently back as this nonsense, that C-19 nonsense was happening in 2021, a huge CO2 capture pipeline exploded and crushed a town. But no one heard of it because the world was going into an unnecessary panic. But with this explosion, they said they were capturing it and actually mixing it with, some company was mixing it with oil or helping it with a process. But most companies now are just capturing this and dumping it into the undergrounds to just where they don't know what will happen to it, and just as a waste product, because they're sucking the CO2 out of our air. And everyone's been taught for so long in science that this is an absolutely stupid idea, and it's insane, and things need this stuff, and this is a natural process that they are trying to stifle by making an industry out of it and making their criminal friends wealthy while the rest of us get whatever. So it exploded in this town, and it created like since it sinks below air, it created like a blanket of asphyxiation for the town. Hundreds of people were hurt, 49 to the hospital. People are still having respiratory problems, and this story just came out now. Imagine the things they are doing to us everywhere. Everything they seem to think of and try to convince us of is good is bad. Just like this. Paper straws. Again, proud to say I maybe used one in my life. You don't really need a straw, but either way, the paper ones disintegrate. They turn to just absolute mush. They're so disgusting. In so many places that were considered hip and blah 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 with it and liberal, or God knows what they consider themselves, we're just glorified by these things, loving them. We got plastic. What a victory. Meanwhile, the chemical companies and the straw companies and everyone else is laughing at them again. It's really a shame, and people need to see through this stuff. So I hope it echoes. I would like for this kind of cast to just be out there. People spread it. Let people know these things, because they need to be known. Because people will just continue down these alleyways where they get themselves really hurt and sick and all these things. And I've got a video coming up where I'm going to try and list all the ways that they are trying to end us, and you'll see it's quite a massive list I've already got brewing, and it's just sickening. Everything should be geared towards trying to help the human survive and increasing longevity and enhancing it, but instead it's quite the opposite. And we're taught to hate all this stuff instead of love. They use love and they obscure it in such a way that's just not the right way, and try to create all this new future things. Meanwhile, it's just people behind the scenes pulling weak-minded individuals in wrong directions to the detriment of them and the bettering of the rich people's wallets, or the powerful people's wallets. And it must end. It's just a dynamic that is insane, and the only weapon we really have now is just to wake everyone up. They're trying so hard to stifle us. Apparently a Digital Services Act was enacted in Europe. I heard recently, someone have to look into this to confirm a little more, but stating that basically all those media companies are no longer allowed to publish things that can enter Europe, publish stories that a certain group of selected, unelected people get to choose from and get to decipher which is available for the public to see and what isn't, kind of like China had already. But that's coming to Europe, which in effect bypasses and eradicates information in the USA by default, because the internet is its open universe. So again, more and more things coming down the pike that we need to fight. While the good things are going still constantly, they're ready for us to grasp at any time. We must get rid of these negative, poisonous, pollutant, detrimental aspects of our world, so that the entire world can benefit. Everybody can be as healthy as possible, live as long as possible, because mortality rates for all ages are going down. Everything are going up, whatever. More people are passing away, and the age is diminishing and becoming less and less. I want to get back to a time when people are living into their hundreds again, all the time, maybe even more. And again, you have to look at different things. Mine Unveiled came up with a good video about longevity. I recommend you check that out, saying that the 259-year-old man at one point liked herbs, used herbs only, not farmies, ate vegetarian diets, and were stress-free. Some amazing things that we all need to learn from, and we all need to enact and activate within our souls and our bodies, so that we can all harmonize, because that's the best way. They are aiming at us from every angle at all the time. We have to dodge it, we have to turn it around on them, and we have to heal this place for the future. We absolutely must save Earth, and we will. So keep joining forces, spread, contact me, SaveEARthwithHeart@gmail.com. Let me know your ideas. We'll put them up here. If you want to join and be a content creator on the Save Earth YouTube, definitely email me and let me know. My buddy Logan's been helping out with that, and I love it. so much more to come. I need you all involved. So this is us. Save Earth is us. It's not just me at all. It's everyone. So let's do it. Bless you all.